Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Important in all things in beauty. Welcome to RadioAMB, designed for those who want to live a long and vibrant life. I'm Patty Smucker, your host, and someone who's been in the professional beauty industry for over 30 years. RadioAMB stands for American-Made Beauty, and we tell the secrets behind the making of health and beauty products. Our program sponsor is Free Your Mane. That's spelled M-A-N-E, and you can go to freeyourmane.com, and at checkout use RadioAMB, and you'll get a 30% discount. You can also find Free Your Mane at Anthropologie stores. Now, during the last year, we've pulled back the curtain on many aspects that make up health and beauty in our industry. We started a year ago laying the foundation on how the body works and how both the ingestion and topical applications of products can provide balance and support of health. We've separated fact from fiction and provided some interesting stories about how fashion, history, science, and medicine have interwound to enhance our immune system and the appearance of hair, skin, and body. Today, we're going to take a deeper dive beyond the skin into beauty and mental health. The statistics about mental health are staggering, and our willingness to talk about it is our only hope of taking a real human experience out of darkness and into the light where real solutions can be applied. My guest today is a leading mental health professional taking the important work head on. You'll meet Lisa Hunter, the COO of Community Solutions, a Northern California social services organization. In our feature segment, we'll learn about her background and how the mental health industry is evolving to provide services to help people in need. In our segment that we call In the Jar, we'll talk about the new ingredient in the mental health arsenal of tools to identify people with the presumption of trauma from childhood or other life experiences and how this is leading to new approaches in healthcare. In our segment that we call Beauty That's Soul Deep, we will take a look at what you can do when you're interacting with people who you feel are in pain and learn about some of the resources that are around that can help you offer people some long-term solutions. Finally, we'll wrap up with our Beauty Biz segment, and we'll talk about the largest trade organization in the professional beauty industry that's taking a proactive role in providing tools for beauty professionals who may be the first line of defense for people affected by domestic violence. Again, our program is sponsored by Free Your Mane, so let's get started. Lisa Davis has a 35-year experience servicing children and families with severe mental and behavioral health needs. She works as the Chief Operation Officer for Community Solutions, the most comprehensive nonprofit human service agency in South Santa Clara County, California. The agency offers a broad spectrum of services from mental health, substance abuse, sexual assault, juvenile delinquency, domestic violence, and youth development. Community Solutions work in partnership with community-based organizations, law enforcement, local schools, and county health and human service provider. She's received her master's degree in counseling psychology and with honors at Santa Clara University. Welcome, Lisa. I'm delighted to have you with us.
Well, thank you.
So, Lisa, I wanted to do the show because I believe that we can't solve problems until we understand it. So let's start out by talking about how did you get involved in this particular line of work?
I think it was a calling. It's something that I've always felt passionate about, people who have special needs, and I grew up in a family that my mother was alcoholic and impacted by substance abuse as a child, and after having that experience, wanting to be able to serve others who also may be struggling with substance abuse so that I could give back to the community.
Right. And that is one of the issues, is that we grow up. There's all sorts of different times in our lives where we experience things that will impact us both in a positive and a negative. And in this way, it was a positive. It became a calling for you.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think that I really appreciate you focusing on mental health and substance abuse and domestic violence, because it's something that impacts all of us.
Right.
Not one individual has not had the experience of knowing somebody or supporting somebody who has been impacted by trauma or mental health or substance issues, and I think we all need to have awareness on how we can support our community.
And being willing to talk about it, I think that's one of the key parts of it. You know, as you read all sorts of different families, even up with the Kennedys, who that mental health has been there's this stigma of shame. So Community Solutions, which is the organization that you work with, it's in Northern California. That's the service area that you guys take care of. How many organizations like yours exist across the country?
Oh, there's thousands. There's every community has services focused on helping people with mental health and substance abuse and domestic violence. There's just thousands of them across the country.
Right. And so they're accessible. It's really a matter of being people willing to be exposed to them and reach out and ask for help within those communities, because because your organization is partly funded. In what way? How do the funds come together for the services that you offer?
The primary source of funding for us is Medi-Cal.
Okay.
We're what's considered a community-based organization, and we contract with the Behavioral Health Service Department in Santa Clara County, which provides us the ability to charge Medi-Cal.
Okay. And so on any given night, how many families are receiving services and or sheltered through your organization?
We serve close to 2,000 individuals, children, families, and adults daily. In our shelter, if you were referencing the domestic violence shelter, we have 12 beds in our domestic violence shelter.
Okay. And then if you just think about it across the country, if you multiply that by thousands, there are, I guess what I'm trying to come to is that there are a lot of resources for people who are in need. If you're willing to reach out and begin talking about this, there are professionals like yourself that are there to help.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Tell us a little bit about what does a common day look like for you?
A common day, well, I'm in administration, so I oversee programs of development and make sure that all of the day-to-day operations are moving smoothly to support our workforce. We have 210 employees, and the majority of those staff are therapists, case managers, peer partners. Mm-hmm. A peer partner is someone who has life experience with their own mental health or substance abuse needs that they have overcome and are now providing services to the clients that we serve. So my staff's day to day is out in the community, going to the home, school, wherever clients feel most comfortable being served.
And so in your administrative role, you're really recruiting and helping to prepare these people to go out and provide those services.
Correct. We have a training department that focuses on developing the skills and competencies necessary to be able to effectively work with the population that we have the privilege to serve. And we are very passionate about what we call outcome-driven services, where we evaluate our services and focus on continuous quality improvement. So we're constantly striving to do our best. And I oversee our outcomes and evaluation department, and the clinical directors that oversee the programs report to me, and I provide consultation and support to them as needed on how to ensure the highest quality of care for each individual we serve.
Well, you've got a lot on your plate. Lisa, how big is this problem? In this country, how big is mental health issues and the number of people that are affected by it?
You know, I don't have the statistics off the top of my head. I apologize for that, but it's pervasive.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one individual who has not had the experience of either having a family member or a neighbor or someone who's been impacted by mental health or substance abuse issues.
Yeah, and I was able to gather just a little bit of data. I read through the National Alliance of Mental Health that 1 in 5 or 43 million people, 18.5%, experience mental illness in any given year. That seems an enormous amount of our population.
Well, I think that we oftentimes, because of the stigma of mental health and substance abuse issues, have taken the perspective that it is a very small portion of our population, and the reality is that we all have had different struggles throughout our lives, and it's really kind of a normal process to be able to struggle with challenges. And if we were to take more of an embracive approach, I think it would be less stigmatizing to acknowledge that mental health and substance abuse issues are pervasive in our country.
Right. And so define it. What is defined as mental health?
Mental health or mental illness?
I guess mental illness. How do we know, if we're suffering in that particular area?
Well, there is, in the field, a diagnostic manual that is used to be able to diagnose and better treat different illnesses. And so through a comprehensive mental health assessment is how one could get diagnosed with a mental illness.
Mm-hmm. But there are common sort of symptoms that begin to, are there common sort of symptoms that begin to be early indicators that maybe it's time to look for help?
Absolutely. One of the more recent additions to service approaches is infant mental health. We provide services through first $5 to be able to work with children and families. So even early on, there are indicators of mental health for infants and toddlers. And when you work early on like that to be able to address the symptoms and needs, the likelihood of being able to move past those challenges are really great.
Mm-hmm. And so you're saying that even at a very, very early age, there are early indicators that can be seen. Can you give us an example of what that would be?
Well, in the field for infant and toddler care one of the risk factors is sometimes mothers who have maternal depression, and if they're not supported to be able to address their depression, that can impact the attachment with their child. And you can see the symptoms of a child who has a healthy attachment with their parent. They're more withdrawn, and they avert their eyes, and so there's all kinds of things, interventions that you can do to promote a positive, healthy attachment for infants, to be able to support their health as well as then to address the maternal depression.
Right.
That puts the whole family on a different trajectory.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, is there a connection often between the way someone sees their external appearance and their mental health?
I was, in thinking about this program, I had recently talked to one of our clients. She's a 19-year-old young woman who struggled with a number of traumas. She was sexually assaulted on a couple of occasions, and she's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And one of the things that she had said is that she now feels beautiful because she has been able to manage her symptoms, overcome the issues of trauma, and she no longer feels identified by her illness and feels happy. And truly feeling happy and feeling capable to manage the challenges that you have results in feeling beautiful and looking beautiful.
Right, right. That whole idea that beauty really is soul deep. It's how we think and feel that creates that external appearance. I think it is really powerful. I know in the line of work that you have, there's got to be tough days. But what's part of the job that you really love? Seeing people overcome tremendous challenges, severe substance abuse, being able to get out of prison for being in prison for over 35 years and reunifying with their families and reconnecting with children they may have not even really known. Working with people who have been homeless and finding them permanent, stable housing, and they're living their lives and reaching their life goals just like every one of us. Children reunifying from being in foster care with their biological families and having those connections with their families, and it goes on and on and on. And are there moments that it's really hard? What's the hardest part about it? Well, it's tragic to see people suffering, and when you focus on the challenges that some of these individuals have faced, it's really overwhelming. And and when you're working with people who have intense trauma and mental health and substance abuse issues, there's secondary trauma that you experience, and so it's really important to be able to do good self-care, and so that then we can be fully present to our clients' needs. And that's interesting because it seems like that's equally important. How do you take care of yourself? Well, personally, I meditate, I exercise, I have a great network of supports both at work and externally to be able to process through issues that come up, and really, I think, predominantly just focus on how people get better. They absolutely recover. Recovery is always an option available, and so I focus on all of the things that go well, because that happens more than not. Right, right. And if you were able to speak to someone who is thinking that they had this calling, what would you recommend for someone who wanted to look at this, at your line of work, as their passion for their life? How do they get started?
They can volunteer at different organizations to be able to, kind of see if it is something that you're wanting to do. It is kind of a specialty, and it isn't for everybody. So I think that being able to do volunteer work and working with people who have mental health or substance abuse issues is a good way to check that out. Mm-hmm. Looking at, there's taking a class in school on social work or psychology, and finding out if you have a passion.
And those seem like great opportunities where you can volunteer, get yourself in that experience, but also learn those tools as far as being able to keep those appropriate boundaries and taking care of yourself in that process as well. Seems like an important first step to explore this.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And as you look at the several decades now you've been doing this work, is there a fond memory that you have, something that really impacted you?
Oh my gosh. I just recently, we have what we call Family Action Night, mm-hmm. and a man who had been estranged from his family for 32 years reunited as a father with his children, and they are doing fantastic.
That's great. That's great. It's the kind of work that it leaves a real legacy. It's a delight to have you with us, Lisa. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go into our In the Jar segment, and we're going to talk about the presumptions of trauma. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com, and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
Where positive people and radio unite. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. I'm Patty Smucker, and this is RadioAMB, where our program sponsor is Free Your Maine. We're here with Lisa Davis of Community Solutions, a nonprofit human service agency in South Santa Clara County, California. Lisa, I read that 18% of adults in the U.S. experience post-traumatic stress disorders, obsessive-compulsive disorders, and other specific phobias. When we talked in preparation for this show, you mentioned some new approaches in mental health, including identifying people with what you called the presumption of trauma from childhood or other life experiences. Can you tell us a little bit about this emerging approach?
Yes, thank you. One of the things we know about people who suffer with mental health and substance abuse issues is that oftentimes the underlying issue is that they have experienced trauma. And so there's a new body of evidence-based practices called trauma-informed practice that focuses on building safety skills. In the field of mental health, we've oftentimes worked with our clients first talking with them to build relationship, and what trauma-informed care focuses on, it is through helping clients build safety skills from the get-go is the way to build healthy, trusting relationships. So it kind of tweaks the approach in terms of presuming trauma, because it's so prevalent for people with mental health and substance abuse issues, and really foregrounds the development of safety skills as the initial way to be able to engage and support our clients.
So it's basically determining that there's a presumption that if you're having mental health issues, there was probably early trauma. And as a result of that presumption, focusing on the safety skills. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
And so when you talk about, is it necessary to delve into what the trauma is, or is the focus just on safety skills?
Well, and that's actually what the shift is that it is foregrounding safety first, and that when people are have more coping strategies, have the ability to keep themselves safe, then oftentimes that's when they will disclose trauma. And you want before delving into trauma, you want to be able to help to stabilize the client to be able to have the skills to cope, because when you work through the trauma, strong emotional issues come up. You could potentially be at risk of engaging in unsafe behaviors. So by working on the safety first, that is the platform to be able to then go deeper into what the trauma is that individual has experienced, and then help them process through that.
Great. And so give us some examples of what building safety skills looks like. What does that mean?
It's being able to say no, set healthy boundaries, be able to have ways when you're feeling distraught to stabilize yourself, meditate, reach out, ask for support from somebody. Sometimes when people are feeling overwhelmed, they feel like harming themselves. And when you have skills on how to cope with the different emotional reactions that come up with, you don't think about wanting to hurt yourself. So the coping skills are as individualized as each unique person, and the focus is how to help them to be able to build those strategies.
Right. And do you find that being able to take care of oneself, and having that skill to be able to know how to properly dress and bathe and groom. Does that help in any way in terms of those coping skills?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that oftentimes will happen for people who are struggling with mental health issues that they don't take care of their personal hygiene. Mm-hmm. And teaching people how to and supporting them to do so. And some of our clients don't even have the resources to take care of themselves. And so being able to attend to those needs is one aspect of care. Right, right.
Oftentimes it seems that oftentimes we go through, our lives and sometimes even feel that even though there may have been trauma, we've either determined that we've healed from it or it's in the past and we sort of want to bury it. But there's evidence that there's still work that needs to be done. What are some of those symptoms that we can see, particularly as adults, that we haven't done the work that we need to, and those past traumas are still coming up?
Mm-hmm. And you're asking how can someone externally see that?
No, or just for you, for identifying yourself that you're not done. You haven't done the work.
Right. I think that oftentimes when someone has experienced trauma, there are what are called trauma triggers, mm-hmm. Senses that trigger the previous trauma, and then that there's a strong emotional response to it. Mm-hmm. So when people are feeling those strong emotional responses to something that seems benign, that certainly is an indicator. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people feeling just so stressed and overwhelmed in day-to-day situations, there's oftentimes a trigger that has occurred and maybe someone wasn't aware of that. Mm-hmm. So it's having those strong emotional responses and feeling overly stressed right. in situations that probably feel a little bit out of more intensity than would be normal.
Right, right. And that seems like such a clear message. I mean, if we're finding ourselves with something that triggers us, but making that phone call or reaching out for help, where does somebody start first to find the right type of professional when they're, rather than waiting until it's like you're totally overwhelmed? Mm-hmm. How does somebody reach out?
Well, again, I know your program reaches so many different communities, but in each community there are resources, mm-hmm. From crisis lines to behavioral health, community centers, resource centers. I think that oftentimes it's someone that is scary to reach out and being able to have someone a family member support them to make that first call can be really helpful.
And that's a great place where we're going to take a break, because when we come back, we're going to talk about how, if you're seeing somebody in crisis, some of the ways that you can help them. You're listening to Radio AMB. Our program is sponsored by Free Your Maine. And when we return, we're going to focus on how you can help somebody who may be in need. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Listening to RadioAMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm your host, Patty Smucker, and we're here with COO of one of the leading nonprofit human service agencies in South Santa Clara County, California, Lisa Davis of Community Solutions. This is our segment we call Beauty That's Soul Deep, and today let's talk about what each of us can do when we interact with people who are in pain and how we can help. Lisa, as someone who stood behind a chair doing hair, and even as an esthetician, I found myself frequently hearing pretty intimate details about people and their pain. What do you advise to people who observe those who are suffering?
I think that it's really important for each individual who comes in contact with the general public to know that you're going to have that experience, because as we've shared, it is pervasive that people struggle with mental health and substance abuse issues. And so I think know your community's resources and be willing to share that a resource with one of your clients.
And we talked a little bit about the idea that, so knowing the resources is one very important aspect of it, but being able to really hear someone, sometimes that can be really tough. I know when I was standing behind the chair, there's almost this point in which I feel like people were oversharing, and I was concerned about people sharing things with me, and so they wouldn't want to come back because afterwards they'd leave and they would feel embarrassed. There's sort of a fine line in there, and you mentioned something called compassionate listening. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, I think that is such a good point, because I think that people who are suffering need to share, and that there can be that tendency to overshare. And I think that when that's happening, being able to say to somebody in a very compassionate way that you care about them, but that what they're sharing, you don't have the resources to help them, and maybe even offering to help to reach out with them to someone who has the credentials to be able to help them. So I think being empathic and listening, but also having a willingness to set a boundary, not by being judgmental of them, but just being able to say that you don't have this skill set and you'd like to help them connect to someone who can really help them.
Right, right. And there's two important aspects that you're talking about there, Lisa, and that is self-care, because as the professional, in my case, I was standing behind a chair, my knowing my own boundaries to say, I can't help you, but I want to lead you. I want to be part of. I'm willing to hold your hand to connect you to someone else, because it's a huge vote of confidence and trust that someone would want to open up to you in that way.
Absolutely, absolutely would. It really is an honor when someone does that, and there are just simple things that we can do to be able to help create the pathway to connecting people with supports that lead to recovery. So that can be a profound step in helping somebody.
And just for those that maybe didn't hear our earlier segments, what do you when you're saying those simple steps? What are some of those simple steps someone can do to lead someone to help?
Again, it's knowing your resources in your own community and being able to provide that resource to the individual that you're with, and potentially even offering to make that call with them.
And we talked about compassionate listening. I love that, but what does that look like? Give us a couple of nuggets as we've got a few minutes left here. Tell us a little bit about what compassionate listening is about.
Well, I think that, it can be scary to see somebody who is suffering from mental illness or struggling with substance abuse or have experienced trauma, and being able to greet that person from a non-judgmental, unconditional stance, and to truly hear the pain that they're in and to provide comfort and support within the scope of what one is capable of doing in the beauty industry is very compassionate and caring. I think that oftentimes, because it feels scary to others who may not be familiar with the symptoms and signs of mental health issues, that there's a tendency to want to withdraw and feel critical, and that, of course, is not helpful.
Right.
And being able to stay present and listen and be caring, express caring towards that individual goes a long way to provide emotional support.
Right, right. And great points. Being able to be present, being able to listen without judging. It is common for us to, when we see somebody in pain, we want to withdraw, but we all know what that feels like on the other end when someone's withdrawing from us. I believe that it was somebody in our industry by the name of Michael Cole used to say, you cannot not communicate. So in your silence or your avoidance, it says volumes to the other person who, if they've taken that leap to ask for help or to share, it's a rejection. So it can be, as you said, it's not helpful. So knowing what the resources are and having answers and being able to be present with it, that's a huge step that someone can take to be of support to someone.
Absolutely.
So, Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today. I know this is, in light of the kinds of shows that we normally do, this is a tough subject, but I think it's really an important subject, and I want to thank you for being part of that industry that's taking such a huge step in helping people. If somebody wanted to reach out to you for more questions, what's the best way that they might be able to get a hold of you?
They could go on our website, www.communitysolutions.org, or they can call our main number at 408-842-6666. 7138.
Great. And again, Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a real honor. And any thoughts that you have as we wrap up this last segment?
Well, I just want to applaud you for addressing issues that people oftentimes don't want to address, and kind of thinking outside of the box of typical approaches to beauty, and really increasing awareness of the needs of people who are suffering with mental health and substance abuse issues. So thank you very much for the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you. We definitely think it's pretty important. All right, well, we'll be right back, and when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit. Lisa's not going to be joining us for the last segment, but we've got some interesting things that the Professional Beauty Association is doing with domestic violence, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
Welcome back. You're listening to RadioAMB, where we share the secrets behind the beauty industry. Our program today is sponsored by Free Your Mane. And I'm Patty Smucker, and in this final segment today, we call it the beauty biz. And I've never been more proud than for the beauty industry in the topic that we're going to talk about, and that's that our largest trade organization, the professional beauty industry, is helping to reach out and make a difference for people who are affected by domestic violence. You know, it is something that is mental health overall, as we talked about in this program, is pervasive. We all know it. There isn't a family that doesn't have some degree, someone who is suffering in some way. And the Professional Beauty Association has a charitable effort called Cut It Out. And the program is dedicated to mobilizing salon professionals and others to fight the epidemic of domestic violence in communities across the U.S. It's a program that's designed to build awareness, and it actually trains salon professionals to recognize the warning signs and safely refer clients, colleagues, friends, and families to local resources. And as Lisa was talking about, that this is really a key aspect. Trust me, I stood behind the chair for many years, and it was not uncommon, to see some of the signs like the interactions between people, the physical signs of things that were going on the body, on necks, on arms, that you could see bruises and things that were the early symptoms or signals of things going on. And more importantly, the way that because of the trust and the bond that I had with my clients, the people were willing to open up and say things to me and share with me experiences that were going on in my life. And as a young, I began standing behind a chair at 17. So 17 to early 30s, I was not prepared to help my clients. And so I think it's just an amazing resource that the professional beauty industry is offering. If you are in the industry, reach out and look at this program. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But let's talk for just a moment about what is domestic violence, because as Lisa talked about earlier, mental health and mental illness is something that comes in many, many forms, and so does domestic violence. Of course, we have according to the National Domestic Violence Centers for Victims of Crime and womenlaw.org, domestic violence can happen to anyone, regardless of the age, race, sexual orientation, religion, or gender. It's something that affects people of all socioeconomic backgrounds and educational levels, and it is both opposite sex and same-sex relationships, married, living together, or just dating. So domestic violence not only affects those who are abused, but also has a substantial effect on family members, on friends, coworkers. Look, if you've ever been in a situation in which there is violence going on in any of the ways I'm about to explain to you, you know you were affected by it as well. You feel it, you sense it. So in essence, domestic violence is behavior in any relation that's used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another intimate partner. Domestic violence can be physical, it can be sexual, it can be emotional, it can be economic and psychological action that threatens to influence the other person. Any behavior that intimidates, manipulates, humiliates, isolates, frightens, terrorizes, threatens, blames, hurts, injures, or wounds someone are all forms of domestic violence. And I often say, because I see this often with particularly women with men who are perpetrators. And that's not the only way it is. It's not only just men. Women can be perpetrators as well. But domestic violence isn't only in the form that causes bruises and scars. There's physical violence, there's sexual abuse, but there's also emotional abuse, where an individual's self-worth and self-esteem is abusive. This may include constant criticism, diminishing one's ability, name-calling, damaging one's relationship with their children. Those are forms of emotional abuse. There's economic abuse, in which the individual financially takes control and prevents the other person from attending school or employment, and withholds one's access to money. And finally, there can be the psychological abuse, which is causing fear or intimidation, threatening the physical harm, and forcing the isolation from family, friends, and schools. So these are, all of them are forms of domestic violence, and I'm just, again, so honored that the professional beauty industry has taken a bold step in helping the salon professional And why? Why is it that there's such a need? And I think, again, it's number one is a whole issue about how big of a problem it is. And because the salon professional is in that unique position to recognize the signs and symptoms of abuse in their clients and coworkers, and because of that intimate, nurturing relationship that exists between a salon professional and their clients, so they can often spot signs of physical abuse that others may never see. Research shows that most battered women never will call the police or go to a shelter, but they will speak to someone that they trust. And the salon professional, through these programs and through their own experience, can have that interest in the client and may also be able to provide that safe, trusting environment in which the client is going to feel comfortable to reveal exactly what's going on. And so the proper training is really important. So if you're a client of a salon, look around and see if there are materials in the salon that you're going to, because that's one of the first steps for a salon that is trained. A salon, spa, esthetician, they order materials to engage themselves in the program, and they actually go to training where there are domestic violence service providers that go out across the country, and they actually provide various different types of training programs, allow for the salon professionals to garner the tools and understand the various different types of resources that are available in the community. And there's also an opportunity, if you are a salon professional, to not only get involved in this program, but get involved in it in a big way in terms of making a donation, giving the power back to victims of domestic violence by participating in fundraising events, and also to become a trainer. So I know that this hasn't been a light and easy topic, one that you would normally associate with beauty, but perhaps it's probably one of the most important shows we've done to date. I believe that the health of the world begins with the health of the mother. When a woman is healthy, she produces children who are equipped to be healthy in their lives. And as you've heard from my guest today, early trauma in our lives set us up for the good probability of experiencing mental health. And so this has been really an important subject. We think it's the stuff that's pretty important, and that's really what beauty's all about. So I'll wrap up today. That's it for us today. Don't miss our lineup in the next few weeks. We've got Robert Linden with us next week, who is the master that creates the images of beauty. And the following week we have Danica Segal of I Am Fragrance. So don't miss our future programs coming up. Send us your comments and questions to request@AmericanMadeBeauty. I'm Patty Smucker. You're listening to RadioAMB on HealthyLife.net. Thanks for listening. We think pretty is pretty important in all things in beauty.